Hi, this is Fabian Trahan, and welcome to Ectophobia Radio, the Parasanctum Podcast. Welcome to the Parasanctum Podcast, episode 29. This is an interview that I did with Barry Taff, me, Lisa, and David Servant on scanning the frequencies. And it was an amazing interview. And I decided to include it on this month's Parasanctum Podcast. This is episode 29, season 3. I hope you enjoyed this discussion with World Renowned Parapsychologist Barry Taff, who's best known for his work in 1974 in Culver City, California with Doris Bither. And that case involving a poltergeist turned into the book by Frank DiFileta called The Entity, and then the subsequent movie thereafter in 1982. This is our interview on scanning the frequencies on Live Paranormal with Dr. Barry Taff.
Dr. Barry Taff, World Renowned Parapsychologist. He holds a doctorate in psychophysiology, minor in biomedical engineering from UCLA, is a world-renowned parapsychologist who worked out of UCLA's former Parapsychology Laboratory from 1969 through 1978 as a research associate. During his 54-year career, Dr. Taff has investigated nearly 5,000 cases of ghosts, poltergeists, and conducted extensive studies in telepathy and precognition. Barry Taff is absolutely an amazing person. I've been following him since I was a kid. I'm really honored that he accepted my invitation, and I look forward for all of us hearing his story and telling us about himself and where he thinks he may be going with some of his other research. He actually has a book, a really fantastic book out, but I'm looking forward to talking to Mr. Barry Taff, and I hope he calls soon. I'd like to hear from him.
Yes, I know he should be here any minute, right? I guess. Yep. Considering times are all off on the Blog Talk Radio, lady. We got a phone call. Hang on. Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Yes, this is Dr.
Is this Barry Taff?
Hi. Last I looked, yes it is.
How's it going?
How you doing? Well, I have some medical issues today, but it's nothing critical. Just the continuation of the inevitable. What?
Are you okay?
What?
Is everything okay? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I don't feel that great. I felt it coming this morning, and once it starts, there's nothing I can do but just relax. Nothing.
I understand that. Mm-hmm.
Barry, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I certainly appreciate it. This is Faith.
Sure. You went out of your way to help me, which a lot of people don't do. I know a lot of very, very wealthy people, and those people are the ones who never help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones who want to help me cannot.
Yep.
Right.
That's life. Yep. That's how
I can barely hear you guys talking. I can barely hear. I can barely hear you.
Okay, we can hear you good. Can you hear me better now?
No, worse.
Really? Oh. Okay, I'll put that back.
It sounds like you're talking through a piece of metal in another room.
Wow, I don't know. I don't know if anybody could tell us how the audio is. Let us know how the audio is, because I can hear you absolutely fine. David, you can hear me, right?
Okay, well, the problem is I don't want to be in a situation where I can't hear you guys. It won't work.
Oh, yeah. Well, Fabian.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're on the other side of the planet with a long string between us.
Oh, my God.
No.
The game
High
telephone,
technology at work. I love it.
Yep, that's it. God knows. Hope we don't have a solar storm. All right, or something like that.
We're actually having one, so, you know.
Oh, we have one now?
Yeah,
oh,
maybe
God,
that's...
Yeah, we've had one for a few days. The sun's kind of going crazy.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I know, and I don't hurt. That would explain that. Okay, there you go. That's good.
Okay,
You know what
now
I
I
mean
can
about
hear
Fabian?
you. Yeah.
Oh, see, maybe it was just a blip.
Yeah.
In the.
Okay,
Who
cool.
knows? Sounds
Yep.
great.
All right, Fabian,
Perfect.
you might. Can you tell us about yourself? A little bit of background. Fabian gave it a little bit ahead of time, but maybe you could tell a little bit of your background also, and the cases that you've been on, and your studies and stuff like that.
You there?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we're here.
You're talking to I don't know who you were speaking to, Fabian or me.
Oh, I thought you were.
Oh no, I was talking. Sorry, Sorry, Barry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'll never know. So.
My bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Barry? About your story.
When I was young and growing up, my life's a little different than the average person. All my friends did pretty much the same thing. I didn't. They wanted to get stoned on drugs, and I was building giant testicles and rockets.
Oh, wow.
There was a film I saw in 1960 that made me want to become a scientist. And that film was The Time Machine, the original one, with Rod Taylor and Yvette Mimieux.
Mm-hmm.
And
beautiful movie.
I've seen the film hundreds of times. I could speak the dialogue forwards and backwards. Ironically, I met George Pal, who made the movie, some 30s, like in the late. He wanted to do a sequel, so he gave me 2 books that had been published. It was called Return of the Time Machine, the other was Time Machine 2. One of them I already read. They were both paperbacks, so I read both, and I started working on a very unique treatment with some dialogue. And we gave it to him, and of course, he couldn't get funding because the last couple of films he made tanked. And then he passed away.
Yeah.
And so, it happened, but we wrote a good story that would have made a far better version of The Time Machine than the remake in 2000 and 2002, which was hideous. It wasn't even worth
it's terrible.
It was, great effects, but they forgot the story.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I was a mad scientist as a kid, I was trying to figure out what the world was all about, and I began having experiences that my friends did not have. As a young child, an example, I've told this story numerous times, but it makes a good point. In grammar school, we were at recess one day, and it's very sunny and warm, and walking around, and this girl named Christine, a blue-eyed blonde girl, walked towards me, and she's wearing a blue sundress with a big sunflower on the top. And I'm looking at her. All I knew was her name, and suddenly I could see that on her right side, under the dress, or whatever it was, there's a plastic bag and a tube going into her. Now, I didn't know the word colostomy, nor did I know what it meant, but she had one. So I asked her about it, and she started screaming, and they dragged me to the principal's office. They were going to throw me out of school. They thought I was sneaking in the girl's bathroom but looking under her dress. I said, no. It's when my other vision kicks in. And they went, what? The principal went, what? It's Superman, X-ray vision. He went, oh, okay, I'm going to have to call your mom. So he calls my mom. He explained what happened. And my mom says, Barry can do that. And the principal went, what? And she said, Barry can do that. What do you mean?
Oh, wow.
He can look through people like they're glass. And so the principal said, you're as crazy as your son. He hung up on my mom. And he told me, if this happens again, you're going to be arrested, go to juvenile hall, blah, blah, blah. And before I left the room, I forgot his name. I looked at him, and a bit stocky guy, looked like an ex-football player, thick, dark brown hair. And I said, sir, you've got that scar on you. Now I call it a keloid. I didn't know that word then. We had an appendectomy.
Yeah.
And he turned purple on me, and green and red. Get out. So that type of stuff has stuck with me. So I don't have any brothers or sisters. I have some cousins, but they're all real normal compared to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's in human culture, when we're different from other people. Let's say you're a famous sports star, whatever sport it is, basketball, football, hockey, baseball, whatever it is. Or you're a director or a producer or a singer, or you're, God forbid, a politician or a very famous lawyer.
Right.
That's even worse. We're looked at differently because we get a lot of attention and people wonder what we're like. However, if what makes you different from others is unlike what makes other people different from others, people don't beat it past your door, they beat it past away from you. Because part of it is they're terrified. When I was at UCLA, I was there from 1969 through 1980, and all the academicians were around my parents' age, except a few were a little younger. And they all thought I was an alien. And I said, ever been an alien? They go, no. Well, then how would you know what it's like? Well, they could do things we can't. I go, so what's the big deal? And they avoided me. The head of the psych department was terrified of me. One of the head psychiatrists didn't want to be near me because he was afraid what I'd pick up from him. But what I'm getting at here, I lived a very different life. I learned here's what happened. I kept writing Dr. Thelma Moss at UCLA in about 66, and she never responded. No email, just letters. She never said, gave it up. And then I met one of her graduate students in college, and he mentioned me to her, and they set up a meeting between Dr. Moss and myself at her house in Beverly Hills. It was so close to where I lived with my parents, I could have walked. Nice little home. So I walked in, and she says, can you do psychometry? I said, yeah, no big deal. So she threw her keys at me, and I described different people. This. The one thing that stands out was someone who I knew of. I see a fat, blue-eyed blonde woman named Shelley screaming all the time. That was an accurate, if less than flattering description of her best friend, Shelley Winters, the actress.
Oh. Yeah.
So, Dr. Moss, so anyway, they ran a study on me, published in a medical journal in the mid-'70s. Okay, so you're psychic. Well, why me? I mean, my parents weren't. Their parents were. Why me? And this has been the question I wanted to know. My work at UCLA, besides being at graduate school, was in two directions in the lab. One was the in-laboratory work that I was doing, which is to train people in remote viewing before it was called remote viewing, what we call telepathy and clairvoyance and precognition. The other was investigating alleged cases of hauntings and poltergeist activity. Of the latter, over the decades, I've investigated over 5,000 cases, most of which begin and end with one meeting. Go out, interview the people, ask a lot of questions, and then you take measurements of the environment and of the people to see what's going on. Ask a lot of probing questions into their medical backgrounds and if they're using any, recreational drugs, things like that.
Right.
And everything, when I got into the field, everything I expected to learn, I didn't. It wasn't there. Things I never thought about, even considered, turned out to be true. Example. There's a pattern that's almost demonstrable regarding poltergeist activity or sometimes hauntings. And it's as simple as this. Imagine you're holding a DVD in your hand. What do you need to watch the DVD? You need a DVD player. It's got to be connected to the TV. To a TV. It both have to be plugged to the wall. You've got to have a remote. If any part of that ensemble is not there, nothing shows up on the TV. So, but that is a basic, the most common thing I found that the majority, if not all, people who are plagued with recurring poltergeist activity tend to be seizure proto-epileptic. However, the majority of people who are seizure proto-epileptic are not poltergeist agents. It's so consistent you could bet on it and you'd win every time.
Wow.
And what's interesting, go ahead.
Barry, I have epilepsy. My daughter has epilepsy. My uncle has, he passed away, and my cousin have epilepsy, and our friend Kyle that's staying with us right now, he has epilepsy too. But we did not have poltergeist activity.
Right. Well, thank God for small favors. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
However, my daughter, okay, and my uncle, my cousin all had more of a in tune with the I guess the other side or whatever you want to say.
Just to access information.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, now this is interesting. Now, it gets really strange here. A lot of people are epileptic or seizure-prone epileptic. They may never get kindled to the point of actually having a seizure. And this, the point became very obvious. So I almost died in 2015. Long story short, I went from L.A. to, thank God I'm here. I drove from L.A. to Rancho Mirage on July 2nd of 2015. I was to help my friend with his mother. She's very sick. So I arrived there, and a few days later, I didn't remember this. I blacked out in the house, and he took me to the ER, called emergency, and I woke up in the hospital a few days later with tubes coming out of my kidneys and a Foley catheter.
Oh, Lord.
Apparently, my prostate had grown so large that it prevented the kidneys from draining into the bladder. If I stayed in L.A. a little longer, I would have died. And that would have been it. Nothing would have happened. I'd be gone. So, but this is where it gets really weird. So, I spent 5 weeks in the hospital, and I spent a year in a nursing home. Then I had a lot more surgeries. Then another 8 months in a nursing home. Then I came out, and I felt good. So I moved in with my friend in Rancho Mirage. He'd lived in the house for about 9 years before I came around. Nothing weird had ever happened there. I show up to stay there. I had nowhere else to go. And within 5 days, I was sitting on the couch one night watching television. And I hear a woman's voice to my right going, "Barry." And I jumped off the couch because I was alone in the house. No one was there, not even my friend.
Okay.
So little things, we had disembodied voices, luminous anomalies, machines turning on and off. I go, this is really weird. Even when we moved on November 17th.
Yes.
Okay, so we moved to another house in Palm Desert. Hotter, bigger house, quiet, very, very large. So we're there. Well, nothing's going to happen here. Took several months, and things start happening there. Luminous anomalies, apparitions, a whole slew of events. And I thought, wait a minute, what's going on? The chance of going from one haunted place to another is astronomical. So then, one day I'm in the kitchen, and my friend's yelling from the front of the house, "Hey, Barry, I left some medication on the island in the kitchen. Bring it to me." So I brought it in the front of the house, and I was looking at the medication names. I forgot the names, or I remember what one of them was for. It's an anticonvulsant. I said, "What do you need this for?" "Oh, I have spasms in my legs and arms and stops me from sleeping." I said, "Then you're seizure prone." I went, "What?"
Right.
Now suddenly the answer was revealed. Now it all made sense. So anyway, we lived in the house till June of 2021. He kept getting in arguments with the owner. I told my friend to leave her alone. She's a very troubled lady. She's not doing well physically or emotionally. Leave her alone. He didn't do it, so we were thrown out. So I've been living in different hotels in Temecula, and he's now living in his car. Now, since that's happened, nothing's happened around either of us. But the first hotel I'm in was Marriott in Temecula. Beautiful place, huge rooms. They put me in room 314. Okay. I leave there, then I go to a Holiday Inn. They put me in room 314. Then I end up for social services. They put me in an extended stay America in room 314 in another hotel. So I'm like, what? Wait, what does it mean? I have no idea. But a couple months after I was here, weird things started happening. I woke up one morning and I was somewhat disoriented. I go, what? Something had moved the bed I'm in across the room, and the foot of it touched the dresser upon which the TV is kept. And I didn't know that. And my door's locked. Oh, okay. Last week, just take the garbage out, put it in the garbage chute here, and walk it back to my room. And I see at the end of the hallway, maybe 40, 50 feet away, a guy looks just like me, wearing the same clothes, darker hair rather than gray hair. And oh my God, he looks just like me, but younger. And I said, sir. And then he was gone. If you had gone through doors that were very loud when they open and close, as doors are to the stairway. So it was gone. So the same shirt, the same work sweatpants, and the same shoes. Same face.
Oh, wow.
But younger with darker hair. I don't know.
Wow, like you,
wow.
like you, but you in a different time period, right?
No, all I knew is he looked like a younger version of me with darker hair, with different types of glasses on. And I almost started running, and then it was like a light going off.
Mhm.
And then a couple of months after I got in this room, in September 2021, somebody wakes me up at like 3 in the morning. I jump up and go, why am I up? I look, I pan the room with my head, and next to my bed on the right side is a very old woman, all hunched over. It looks like she already died. And she's leaning into the bed, and I jumped back, and then she was gone. Okay, got up, had some went back to bed. And then another time, coming out of the shower.
You sound like me. I do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
See something, go back
coming out of the shower. Yeah, I come out of the shower, and there's a body laid at the foot of my bed. Months later, and then as I walk up to it, it disappeared. So the stuff's still going on around me. But as far as what happened when I lived with my friend for almost 4 years, he was the power supply, and I was the lens. He was supplying power for things to happen. This place, and one of the managers told me that the third floor, which I'm on, is haunted. Late, thanks for telling me, a little late, but this is the thing of this has sort of been my life. The work we did in the lab at UCLA was extraordinary, and it made us aware of something that's so different than what we thought it would be. It's truly amazing. Basic is an example. We did the real-time so remote viewing. That was easy to do. It was boring, actually. So we tried one time to get the backtrack. About a year and a half after we started the program, all these people kept showing up. I didn't know who they were. They were turned up from the intelligence community or military intelligence. And I didn't know who sent them. But they were part of what we were doing, and it kind of freaked them out. And at one time, they demanded I surrender the audio tape we made because there was classified information on it. Okay, who cares?
Oh.
So we could do this, no big deal. It got boring, actually. And then let's see if we could jump ahead 1 week and describe the randomly chosen target of next week. Could be anybody, you don't know. Mm-hmm. So the room was dark. It's a sensory deprivation environment. You can't see, you can't hear. And we describe the day and the time, describe the person, the target, describe. And so we collectively talked about a tall woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, very attractive. And we described her clothing, like a beige pantsuit, very, you'd set it for a model, basically, would wear this. And every chair in the room had a number on the bottom of it. And we named the chair that the woman was going to sit in. Okay, we just saw a 3-story home in the Hollywood Hills. We saw a baby grand piano. But then came the most strange thing. We saw a very tall man, about 6'4" or 5, dressed in black. Black shirt, black pants, black gloves, black cape, black hat, black mask, and an imposing sword. And we thought we're losing our minds. So the next week, new people come in through third parties who had never been there with us. We rolled a die. Everyone was given an envelope with a piece of paper with a number on it from 1 to 12. So they sat down wherever they wanted, except the area I sit in control the microphones. And we rolled the dice, and the girl said, "Oh, yeah, that's my number." Okay. So we give her the control of the tape, and we say, if it fits you, if the description describing fits you about your life, stop it and tell us. Okay. So we described her look exactly: height, face, hair, eyes, even the clothing. Could have been coincidence. The chair she sat in, there were 23 chairs in the room. She sat in the one we named. Could have been coincidence. And then the 3-story home. Yep. Yeah, 3-story home in Hollywood Hills. Yep. The baby grand shadow. Yep. Then comes the man all in black, and she turns to me, and she goes, "How do you know who I am?" And I went, "What?" She goes, "How do you know who I am?" And she, "What are you talking about?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "I'm Tony Williams." And I said, "That is who?" "My father is Guy Williams. He plays Zorro for Disney."
Oh, wow.
What?
That's amazing.
And she said, "Wait a minute. When did you do this?" "A week ago." "I didn't know I was coming here till a couple hours ago, and you chose me by the roll of dice?" "What?" "Well, wait a minute. What does this mean?" "It means that some aspect of the future is already there, or it's all there,
right.
and we're just living out a big play." And that kind of scared some of the people we were working with off, but they stuck with it. Some weeks later, we thought, let's do it again. So all we could see was fire, fire, fire. Okay, forget it. I'm up in the lab the next day at about 10 a.m., and Fire Ridge is coming to the Neuropsychiatric Institute where our lab was. That room caught fire. One of the sockets behind the curtains sparked or shorted, caught the drapes on fire. Gee, no wonder I always thought it was imminent. The whole thing is that we keep it describing things based on where we are in space and time when we perceive information. If it comes in real time from another person, that could be telepathic. Real time that doesn't involve another person, you're seeing something remote, could be clairvoyance. Comes in the future, we call that precognition. But it's all the same thing. We're remotely accessing information. And we found that a very small percentage of the public could be trained into doing this. There's too many variables that distract people and things they have worry on their minds about their life. And people having trouble shutting it off. But the work we did in the lab was amazing, and the consistency of it was truly astounding. We were shocked how accurate. A woman, another girl, worked in the lab around my age. I didn't like her. She was kind of a druggie, and I didn't want to be around her. Anyway, Thelma Moss, Dr. Moss liked her. She said, "I'm sending so-and-so to your group." Okay. So she showed I didn't know anything about her other than her name. Nothing. And she was a medical student or undergrad. So long story short, she volunteers to be a subject, and we tell her what we're going to do, and she thinks of someone she knows really, really well as the target. So we start describing the man. We just try to get his name phonetically. We got it, but that wasn't accurate. And then we described the home, and then we kept seeing that he was being savagely beaten or mugged. So the feedback period begins. She takes the control. She goes, "Yeah, that's his house, and his name is almost identical to what she described, but it's not perfect." This is it. And it looked okay. 2 days later, she calls me at the lab. "Remember I was at you group the other day?" "Yeah." "Remember when I did my session?" "Yeah." "Remember about my friend that you were working on?" "I didn't know it at the time, nor did we. He was being savagely beaten in San Francisco when we did the group." And got
God.
So what's the source? This all comes down that we can access the best evidence indicates that this whole process we call remote viewing or telepathy or precognition. It may be that similar to memory. There's a good deal of research that indicates that our long-term memories do not reside in our brain. They're stored in an external power field somewhere. The short-term memories are, but the long-term memories are not. If this is true, that means the way we access our memories is basically paranormal. It's remote.
Right.
So maybe this is how we function. So we did the groups. We did thousands of these groups. The continuity of the work was truly astounding. We had ups and down times it didn't work that well, but it was consistent enough that you go to my website, you'll read an article called, my website is barrytaff.net, and what article is called Learned Psi, Training to be Psychic, and it's all about what I'm just describing now. But that was it was good work, and we were enamored with the whole thing, but it began to become boring because we could do it somewhat reliably. Okay. Then the work in the field. A few of our cases became well known. One is the entity case, 1974, Culver City.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I don't want to go over it because it's in my book. It's all over the internet. Bottom line, my
we
colleague
all know about that. The case.
Yeah, we're very familiar with that. Yeah.
I don't believe that what was happening to Doris Spicer, the woman who was in the middle of all it, I do not believe that it was. I don't think it was a haunting. I think it was a poltergeist, being a psychokinetic manifestation, and the extension of living people. And she wouldn't answer most of the questions I asked her. She was very cryptic and evasive. And nowadays, if people don't answer our questions, I just get up and leave. I mean, they're hiding something that's important. So we began to experience things in the house, luminous anomalies, things flying around Doris. And it went on, and we were able to capture some of them with a very fast film. The most famous one is The Arc of Light that frames Doris Spicer. What's interesting, there was a group with the Skeptical Inquirer. They wrote something about a year ago, claiming that we faked the whole case. It's all we just scared a stupid, crazy lady. We faked it all to get money to make a movie. Yeah, right. Okay.
No.
And the picture, the Arc of Light framing Doris Spicer on her bed in her home, was actually a hair follicle floating before the lens. What?
Okay.
But there's another arc that goes from top to top at an angle. Oh, that's a hair floating too. Right.
I read that, and that was ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
You ever notice their favorite word? They always say, sorry to say, or unfortunately, or they use a safe word, the skeptics do, when they're describing what they've already established they're going to disagree with.
And see, these people are not just skeptics, they're debunkers. They know nothing ever happened, so it doesn't matter what you show them or tell them. They will believe it. So, when the case happened, starting in the summer of 1974, August 22nd, very hot and humid, these people probably weren't even born, or if they were little tiny kids, they weren't there, so how do they know what happened? Oh, they know, right. So the minute I run across that, I go, right, okay, sure, yeah, you weren't there, but you know what happened.
Exactly. They don't have all the case files either. They have no idea other than what's out there. So they're going by whatever's
they wanted me to go on their podcast, and I said I'd rather watch paint peel. I don't want to waste my energy on you people. It's not worth it. All I know, these things happen. The majority are generated by living human people. And so the woman in the entity case, she moved from Santa Monica to Culver City. Phenomena worsened when she got there. And then she moved from there to San Bernardino or Riverside, I forgot where, a long time ago. And it followed her. Phenomena stayed with her. It was an extension of her, not the house. And then she moved to Texas and moved there. And then back to L.A., and where she ended up dying. That was 99 of cardiopulmonary arrest. She wasn't very old. So she's about 9 years older than me.
Wow.
Here's what's important. She claimed there were three entities. Not one, there were three. The two smaller ones would hold her down, and the bigger one would rape her. Now, from a psychological perspective, she had three male children, two small ones, one bigger one. And I think there was some Oedipal thing going on from what I could sense, and she wouldn't answer most of the questions I threw at her. Of her three sons, so the whole point of it is, okay, she's attacked by three, just like her boys. Two hold her down, the small one, the bigger one rapes her. You can't prove it, but I had to make a bet. I'd say it was an extension of her. And she moved to Carson. We followed her there. Phenomena happened there. Her neighbors didn't know who she was because we kept her out of the media. And she phenomena started happening in her new home. And her neighbors, after she moved in, things started happening in their house.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's like a proximity effect.
Yeah.
And then, let's move forward a couple of years. The case, one of our most amazing cases, it's on my website called Cielo Drive. No, it's called the Hollymont Haunting. It's good.
Yeah. We were discussing that before the show.
Yeah. That was the most incredible thing.
Amazing.
Because there was things moving through locked doors, and power going on and off. Just amazing things. And it was amazing. I mean, it was just going and going. And we went back in 2008. New owner was there. He let us come in and took some measurements. And nothing great in terms of energy we could measure. But as we were leaving, I picked up one of my apology cases, and there was something carved into the bottom of it. I go, what's this? These cases are almost indestructible. It looks like someone took a hammer and chisel and carved out a backwards R.
Wow, that's weird.
And the body buried under the house from 1922 that has a tombstone is named Regina.
Yeah.
Oh, that answers that question.
Quite remarkable.
Right, so,
no, that answers the question right there. So
the house has been rebuilt. A lot of work was done renovating it. The plumbing didn't work. The electrical stuff was screwed up. It's beautiful now, but the interior decoration is hideous. It looks like somebody went nuts. But people move in. If phenomena happens to some people and not to others. And what we know now, we didn't know then, is that 2 active earthquake faults are almost directly under the house.
No.
Yeah.
And there's a shallow river there as well.
Oh.
So it goes on and on. Okay. Then we go to another great case. This was 2005, 2006. The David Olin case, the Cielo Drive case in Benedict Canyon. Went to the house, and our system is crazy there. The geomagnetic field there was anywhere from 200 to 1,000% stronger than it should be. The house was polarized. I went there a total of 21 times, and I got sick 20 times. Yeah. So I stopped going because I didn't feel like dying. And apparently, we were keeping track of people coming. I was keeping track. Almost all of them were younger than me. None of which had the pre-existing conditions. And 68% of them became ill when they were there.
Right.
So,
hey, David, you had a question for Barry. You had a question for Barry about geophysical. You want to ask him?
No, it wasn't really the geophysical, but
the geomagnetic, you mean?
Right. When you encounter the higher geomagnetic energy, do you take readings of the positive and negative ions in the same area to see how those would also affect the human physiology?
Yeah. I mapped out the whole house. Yeah, it's amazing because one part of the house is positively polarized, the other is negatively polarized. A giant magnetic battery. And
that's weird.
When they were building the property, they found old vacuum, focal, the way we call it, old magma chambers that were there from probably millions of years ago.
Oh, wow.
So, the USGS, they flew over and they said, the place is really magnetic. Yet we know that. Why?
Okay, they did fly over.
Yeah, they don't do anything on the ground anymore. It's all done from aircraft or satellites.
Yep.
And what's interesting is that one night we had a storm coming in, lightning and thunder, and at one point I got 2 kilovolts per meter. And that's it. Packed up my stuff and left. I didn't feel like having a heart attack.
That's enough. Yep.
Yeah.
So the lightning and thunder actually made it even 1,000 times worse than what it was already.
During a really strong, the wind, Santa Ana winds, in the house you get a certain magnetic ion reading. And then outside, it would go through the roof, enter the house. It was lower, but it would shift. The magnetic field would reverse itself.
Wow.
From negative to positive.
That's crazy.
And the house is simmered down, but nothing lasts forever. And there's no way I could go back there because I'd get sick and end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And Cedar Sinai.
Yeah.
Cedar Sinai said, well, if it makes you so sick, why do you keep going? Because we're learning things. But if you're dead, it won't help you. Okay, I understand that. I agree.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good point.
You know, so that was. Go ahead.
I was going to say, have you been to any other locations that have been as bad as the house on Cielo Drive?
I've been at the Hollymont house. It's not the same consistently. I have gotten really high amplitude, magnetic amplitude readings there. And then suddenly polarity reversal. At David's house, it was fairly consistent. That's what's so odd. And almost everything in the house had a magnetic field going through it, which is impossible because glass isn't magnetic. Nor is leather or vinyl. So the house is like, you're like, so that's why I said I'm not going back. I don't feel like dying for my cause. The case
we wouldn't want that, Gary.
No. And so the whole point is this: there's so many variables to make the phenomena happen. You need an unusual electromagnetic environment, maybe tuned to the. Then you need a person there who's hypersensitive to this, and there has to be what I call inductive resonance coupling. In other words, the magnetic field that they're in has to couple with the person's field. If it does in the right way, and if they're seizure or epileptic, well, look what's happening. They leave and it stops. They come back, it starts. So it's real. It's paranormal. We're part of all of it. We're not just sitting and saying, oh, look at that.
I know. It's so like an antenna, right? Like an antenna.
It's a simplistic way of,
But directly between the people and their environment. The people and their environment.
In other words, if you took surveys of people going to the most famous haunted locations, tourism, go there, and 99.9999% nothing happens. They go there, they read about it, and they leave nothing. 1/1,000,000% something happened when they're there because their nervous system couples with that environment in a way that triggers the onset of the events. So if someone told me this, when I got in the field, I would have went, yeah, right, sure. Now, we do know that magnetic field is the way we access it, accesses us, but the energy itself is not magnetic, which makes no sense at all. We can only measure what we know. Electromagnetic, nuclear, or gravitational. That's it. There are no other known forces. And now this is what's interesting. I have some really good instruments I take out on cases. And you can measure a human's bioelectric field very easily because it's pretty strong. Measuring a biomagnetic field is almost impossible without a superconducting or squid sensor. And they're not portable yet. However, if you take your instruments, you're measuring an old person, and you're getting nothing because their instrument's not sensitive enough, you then start measuring the poltergeist agent, and look at this. Their body's pumping out 1,000,000 times the energy it should. What a coincidence.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, go back to the other people, normal. Go back to the other people, it's there. And of course, there's schizophrenic or epileptic. So the question is, we keep seeing the same patterns emerge over and over and over. We know enough now, we might be able to artificially trigger or ramp this stuff up to where it happens when we want it to rather than when it wants to. But that might involve putting people at risk, which you never do.
Right.
So it's unlikely that's going to happen. But they're all, like the Cielo Drive case, if you artificially manipulated the environment there, you might trigger it at a stronger level, but then you might kill the people that are living there.
Right.
So you never put people at risk. You just don't do it.
Right.
And so this is all amazing because the more we learn, the stranger it gets. And
it sure does.
That is so true.
There were, when the lab was open, all these people come to the lab, famous celebrities coming through. Now, this is what gets really interesting. Decades ago, back in the 70s, there was an actress, I don't know if you remember, named Susan Strasberg. Does that ring a bell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of.
It does,
okay.
but I don't know why.
Beautiful, tiny brunette. Okay. I knew who she was. I thought she was gorgeous. Never met. And then she was on some talk show. My friends saw her, and they said, "You're dating Susan Strasberg?" I go, "I am? What are you talking about? I never met her." So why did she claim she's dating you? I said, "I don't know." And I just gave it up. And then several years ago, I thought, I've got to find answers. Why Susan Strasberg would even know my name? She said she was dating Barry from the UCLA Parapsychology Lab. I thought it might have been my old colleague Terry. No, it was Barry. Mm-hmm. So I looked and looked, and I found one correlate that I never expected to find. Turns out Susan Strasberg's best friend that she met her husband through is Shelley Winters. Dr. Moss's best friend. So that explains that. Why she thought we were dating, I can't tell you because I think she was doing drugs or whatever. It's
okay, maybe.
Yeah. And then I was in a Xerox place to have some scripts and business plans years ago. And a really tall guy, and he says, "You're Barry Taff." Yeah. "Oh, hi." I said, "Should I know you?" He says, "Yeah. You used to date my sister." I go, "Who?" She told me. "A celebrity." I go, "I never met her." "Yes, you did. You should take her out on a date."
Oh, my
God. I never
God.
met your sister. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, and he described the car I had long ago, the Corvette with the black headers and the side pipes and everything. I said, "I never met her. Why would I lie about it?" Okay, so I wrote it down. So sometime later, I was at a deli in San Fernando Valley. I forgot the name of it. Doesn't matter. Having lunch with a friend, and he says, "That girl over there staring at you. Do you know her?" There's the girl that this man spoke to me. It was her brother. She was her brother. And I said, "I don't know her. I'm not going to go up to a stranger and talk to them, especially if they're celebrities." And so I looked, okay. Weeks later, back in the Xerox place, there's her brother, and he said, "Yeah, she was really pissed. She didn't come over and say hello. I don't know your sister."
Oh,
well,
that's
said, "Okay,
crazy. Wow.
How did I meet your sister?" "Oh, through Susan." "Susan who?" "Susan Strasberg." "That's it. I've got to go."
Oh, my God. God.
There's all this weird, I don't know. It's very, I've never,
either you have a doppelganger, okay?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? That's nuts. Wow.
Yeah. So what this all comes down to is there's so much more at stake here. We're dealing with the reality. It's far more complicated and complex than we ever believed. And yet at some other level, it will make sense. The phenomenon is real. It's paranormal. But it's mediated by living people in some level. That's the situation. And,
like a tulpa. Like a tulpa.
Yeah.
Right? Like tulpa where okay.
Well, and what's interesting, we've had a number of cases that started out as a poltergeist case and turned into a close encounter and an abduction. And the best 1977, it was Valentine's Day. I was out in a case in L.A. with my colleague. We walked in. There was this girl named Judy. I'd never met her before. Probably the best-looking girl I've ever seen in my life, to me. And I went, "Oh, my God." And my colleague kept telling me it was Barry. I went like, "What?" Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Anyway, we started dating. Everything was great. And there was an actress, still alive, she's very old now, named Mariana Hill. I don't know if you remember her. She did work in the... Anyway, if you look her up, the girl, Judy, looked almost identical to her. Almost identical. So we're dating, everyone's great, we get along really well. And then the dreams came, and the dreams were always the same. The dreams were that it was July 22nd, July 22nd, And our relationship ended, but I didn't know why. I didn't dare tell her because she would misinterpret what I'm saying as my desire to leave, which I didn't have. So, the date approaches. I didn't tell her. She wakes up. We're staying in her mother's condo in the Hollywood Hills for a while. And she said, she's under the covers crying. And she said, why didn't you help me last night? I go, what? With what?
Whoa.
The room lit up. What the hell? What room? This room? What do you room? Yeah. She said she was lifted out of the bed, moved horizontally, and then she suddenly found herself in some other place. And this is 1977, so bear in mind the time. There were these little guys around me, big black eyes, no ears, no nose, just slit for a mouth, the hold, and they were cutting and probing. Right. And so why didn't they take me? And I said, well, maybe I'd be the wrong person for them. But anyway, they were poking and prodding her and cutting her hair. So I finally coaxed her out. From one of the covers. She's bleeding from her ear, bleeding from one of her nostrils, bleeding from an eye, bleeding from the uterus, wasn't breastfeeding, bleeding from the rectum.
Oh, Lord.
And her hair had been cut in a weird way, and her back looked like someone took a little melon ball and took. So she had a complete breakdown. Had that not occurred, whatever it was,
Barry,
had that not occurred, we would have been married.
We have 25 seconds left on the air.
Okay.
I didn't realize it until Lady started yelling at us, Blog Talk Radio Lady.
Okay.
We're going to have to end this, but we're going to give a shout out. Your website, real well. We're going to have to end this. We have everything online. Check out Barry Taff.
Okay.
And we have had an amazing come back on.
Thank
again,
you
right,
so much, Barry, for
all right.
My pleasure.
You have to go.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely,
Right.
Barry. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
sir.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed Parasanctum Podcasts, episode 29 with Dr. Barry Taff. I hope you take care with whatever it is that you're doing. Talk to you next time, and keep it spooky. In the meantime, try to enjoy the daylight.